Hello to everyone. Thank you so much for having me in this event, the People's Health Hearing, as part of the COP Coalition 26. My name is Paccha Chuji. I am an indigenous Quechua, Amazonian, and British woman, which has enabled me to experience, understand, and perceive the world around me through different lenses. I have come to the conclusion that there are two main opposite forces and forms of existence in this planet. One, that is based on the balanced harmony, understanding, and respect of the earth and its inhabitants. And another one, that is based on an utterly disrespectful, self-destructive, ignorant, and selfish system that is killing all life on earth. Today I want to talk about health from within an Quechua Amazonian indigenous perspective. I want to start with the question of what is the meaning of health. Now, within the globalized capitalist mentality, health is usually seen from a purely physiological point of view. The recognition of mental health into the spectrum of health as a whole is something quite recent, and it's still fractional. The truth is that health is interconnected with all aspects of life. In my culture's vision, health is about the physical and spiritual state. It's about the condition of our homes, which is our family, our culture, and our territories. If the Alpa Mama, Mother Earth, is healthy, so are we. We believe and exist within the Sumac Causai, which can loosely translate into coexisting in harmony and equilibrium. The Sumac Causai is a holistic philosophy of life and too broad to explain here. But one thing I can say is that it's about having a healthy and balanced life, a life that is in harmony with Mother Nature. Health is about having respect for her and therefore for ourselves. The water of the rivers, of the ground, of the sky, the trees, the roots, their crowns that are the forest's roof, the animals, the plants, the fungi, the mountains, the rocks and their spirits, the air, the sounds, the energies, the cosmos. This is what is part of our health too, because health is a pluriversal concept. However, our health and lives are being subverted by the current global system that has an unsatisfiable hunger for profit and is extracting while destroying and poisoning our homes, this being the body and the territories of indigenous peoples. Amnesty International, in partnership with the organization Derechos Humanos Sin Fronteras and environmental PhD health expert Fernando Serrano, carried out a study between 2018 and 2020 with 11 communities of the Cana indigenous people in Peru in the Andes. These communities live within the area affected by the Corocohuayco copper mining project, the extension of the Antapacay mine that is operated by the Anglo-Swiss multinational Glencore. They tested 150 voluntary community members, and they found that 78% of them had levels of metals and toxic substances in their systems. What they found in their bodies was lead, arsenic, cadmium, mercury, and highly elevated levels of manganese. Now, this last one can be beneficial for the body if it's presented in very small levels. Otherwise, it can cause neurological problems. And the rest of the metals that I just mentioned are extremely toxic and could generate different types of cancer and hepatic health problems. As part of the study, they also tested 191 water sources in the area. 150 of them were found to be not suitable for human consumption. And out of these, 115 were used and are used directly for human consumption. People have reported to have neurological, cardiovascular, respiratory, digestive, and ocular symptoms, just to mention a few. A woman from the Tintaya Markiri community even said that because of drinking this polluted water, her 15-year-old daughter developed blood cancer. This is an act against humanity. On top of the hundreds of years of colonization, imposition of poverty, and exploitation that indigenous peoples have been victims of, they are now having their only source of life stolen, their homes, which harbor their culture, identity, history, and which provide with everything they need to survive. These territories are being poisoned and destroyed for the sake of overproduction, overconsumption, greed, and power. Of course, this is just one example of the hundreds of cases that are happening right now across the world. And there are many other ways in which this system subverts our health through extractivism. And one of them is in its correlation with the destruction and distortion of our cultures, wisdom, and ancestral practices. The case of the Waorani people, Ecuador's most recently contacted indigenous people in the Amazon, is a good example to portray this. The Waoranis have had their ancestral lifestyles and cultures altered since the 50s, when American evangelists entered into their territories, converted them, and radically twisted their nomadic lives, family structures, political and economic organization, material culture, and introduced consumerism into their lives. This was soon followed by, and sources suggest that it was completely connected with the invasion and colonization of oil companies who started exploiting and continue till today. There has not only been contamination of the rivers and the soil, deforestation of ancient forests, and annihilation of sacred places where their ancestors have been buried. The extractivist industry has also brought social problems like alcoholism, prostitution, and gender violence, things that did not exist in the Waorani culture before colonization and exploitation began. Many people, including wise spiritual leaders that hold years and years of ancestral knowledge, now endure and die from illnesses caused by the consumption of oil-polluted water, or caused by viruses brought by outsiders, including COVID-19. How is it possible that main concerns about basic services, such as potable water, sewage, healthcare, and education, are not given any attention whatsoever? However, pollution, malnutrition, violence, destruction of the biodiversity, violations of human rights, and extreme poverty are utterly palpable. This aggressive appetite for sucking all life on earth just for profit, development, and/or modernism is not attached to a particular ideology. Both right and left-wing governments and regimes from both extremes across the dominant ideological spectrum have applied the same principles of exploitation for industrialization. The United States and China, for example, have very different political, economic, and cultural structures. Nevertheless, both countries' systems look at nature as an object to use and exploit in order to have global power. And yes, the ones to blame for the drastic death path in which the world is currently in are the powerful, greedy corporations and multinationals that work hand in hand with governments. But let's not forget that the people living in developed and modern societies are the main clients and consumers that make these evil structures dominate the global monopoly in people's lives. I am not under any circumstances taking the weight off these corporations and governments. Nevertheless, it is essential that the populations that benefit from this system understand that the superficial hedonistic lifestyle that many, and probably the majority, have is out of control and takes a key role for the destruction of the planet. For every member of these societies, you and me, this system moves only to divide and isolate. We are forced into a plastic form of existence where there is no happiness, no true health, no freedom. This system's power of assimilation and distraction is so nauseatingly overwhelming that without a conscious, concerted effort, we, as individuals, will not break free from this system's illusion. We do not see the true horror that is happening outside our bubbles because we don't face it. But for my sisters and brothers that are on the front lines, there is no illusion, no layers that can hide this purest form of evil, this unnatural form of death, which they are confronting in the flesh. We need to question the abnormal nature of the civilizational model, that of patriarchal Western capitalist modernity, as Arturo Escobar puts it. What this system has done, and keeps doing with an ever-growing aggressive step, is taking us farther and farther and farther away from who we really are, from where we all come from, the Pachamama, Mother Cosmos, and from the Alpamama, Mother Earth. And all of this doesn't mean that indigenous peoples want to subvert all the social, cultural, artistic, technological, scientific, and academic developments that industrialized countries have contributed to evolute, loads of which are also fundamental for the shifting process that the world needs to undergo. What we need and demand is that the modern capitalist world acknowledges that it has committed ineffable mistakes, and that it is the father of the devastation that the planet is suffering, and that it is time for the world to listen to the hundreds of years of knowledge and wisdom that indigenous peoples have, which hold key answers on how to amend the mistakes of the few that are having a consequence on us all. Indigenous peoples don't want the whole world to be like us. What we want and demand is that the Pachamama and we are respected. As the Waorani indigenous woman, mother, and leader Nemonten Nkimo says, the earth does not expect you to save her. She expects you to respect her. And we, as indigenous peoples, expect the same. Let's not forget that amending and curing this predatory virus is a duty, responsibility, and a power that we all have. This is a struggle that we cannot accomplish without the whole of humanity working together in coordination and reciprocity. It's time for us to re-examine our spirituality, to re-examine the relationship that we have with the earth, with the rest of humanity, and with ourselves. We are all part of the struggle, and the first step is for all of us to wake up. Thank you.